There's kind of three big mistakes that I see business owners making. Number one, their services are just too complex. It's very difficult to build a system around something that's extremely complex. When I say complex, what I mean is they are ever changing. It's like a different thing for a different client, or if this brief comes in, it's that, and if this happens, it's that. So one of the big ideas that I'm going to share with you is about simplicity and simplifying. Because what I've seen in the last 12 to 18 months in my business and in some of my clients' businesses is that actually the simpler we make things, the faster they grow. The simpler we make things, the more impact that we can have. The easier it is to build these systems around it. And interestingly, what I thought when I first heard this concept was that I was going to have less creativity. But what actually happened is that the simpler I made things, the more creative I could be around them. And I always use the analogy of like when I first started learning photography, right? It all seemed very complicated to me. And one of my mentors said, you just need to learn these three basic things. You need to learn about shutter speed, you need to learn about depth of field or aperture, and you need to learn about ISO, right? Just learn about those three things, those three basic things, and just boil all of photography down to those three things, and you'll understand everything a lot more. And when I really just focused down to those three simple things, it allowed me to be so much more creative, right? Because I just understood the fundamentals of what photography was about. And it's the same in business. The other big mistake we see people making is everything's in their head, right? So it's like you've built this business to this point because you're really good at what you do, you're really good at a specific skill set, but it's all up here. If I said how do you do this? Most people would really struggle. It's a little bit like learning to drive a car, and then you're driving along the motorway and someone's like, how are you driving this car? I don't know, I'm just driving it, right? It's going along. But actually, if you had to say, well, I put my foot on the clutch and then I bring it up a bit, okay, well, how do you know when's the right time to bring your foot off the clutch and press the accelerator? And when do you know when to change gear? And it's I don't know, this is complicated. This feels really hard to explain. I've never had to explain this to someone. And it's the same in business, right? It's we do these amazing things, we get these amazing results for clients, whether it's, animation or design or whatever it is. But how do we actually do it? What's the blueprint? How could we teach that to someone? How could we create a system around it? And then the final thing is most of us don't have the right team. When I say you don't have the right team, what tends to happen is agencies get quite top heavy. The more they grow, the more they bring people in to deliver the work. So if you're an animation or a design studio, it's we're growing, cool, we need more designers, we need more animators. And we're missing some really key essential roles which help us to create that system to build the business holistically. So if our services are too complex, what's the most obvious thing that we want to do? Yeah, we want to simplify our offer, right? We want to simplify what we do. If everything's in our head, what do you think would be the solution to that? Yeah, document it 100%. What we call it is unpack your IP, unpack your intellectual property, get it out of your head, down onto paper, into a system that someone else can follow. And then the final one is we don't have the right team. What do you think that we're going to do in order to get the right team? So if we're going to get the right team, we need to know first, what does the right team look like? So when we decide what we want and the systems that we need to build, we need to figure out what are the roles in the structure, who sits where, what hire do we need to make in order to achieve this. So if you'd like to dig down into some of these strategies a little bit further, then click the link below and you can apply for my live workshop where I will be showing you behind the scenes of what's working for other creative agencies and giving you a custom roadmap to grow your business.